What's going on, everybody? Gabriel Santos here. And today we're going to talk about emotional independence and marijuana. All right. So, you know, people smoke weed for many different reasons, and some people find that it helps them massively, and some people find that they use it as a crutch. And in my experience, and this is not true for everyone, but in my experience, using it as a crutch oftentimes comes with being emotionally dependent to marijuana. And what I mean by that is, take for example feelings of anxiety or simple stress, and people often smoke weed to relieve those feelings. Anxiety, frustration, stress, those are very uncomfortable feelings. And if a person doesn't have a reliable way to relieve those feelings, then smoking weed becomes an automatic go-to tool to help relieve those feelings. All right. And that's a beautiful thing, right? In many ways, marijuana can act as training wheels, or something of that nature to help a person, get through life and deal with certain emotions. Because I'll tell you what, before I started smoking back in high school, I felt like I suffered from not crippling, but I suffered from social anxiety, and I suffered from a number of insecurities. And as a young person, with a lack of skills and a lack of emotional fortitude at the time, weed was the first and only way that I had ever known to relieve these feelings of anxiety and insecurity and to quiet down the mind, right? And so I think it's understandable that many people accidentally become dependent on weed to handle emotions, certain emotions. And so how this all ties together is, if you're someone who wants to reduce your smoking, or to quit altogether, one of the main challenges with not, living a sober life or just living a life without weed is, how do you handle anxiety? How do you handle these thoughts that really get to you? How do you handle feelings of depression? And so marijuana, if you're no longer going to use it, or you're not going to use it as much, one of your main challenges is going to be learning how to deal with uncomfortable emotions. And now here's the beauty. This is an opportunity to grow as an individual, to mature emotionally, to become emotionally independent. And speaking from my own experience, what I had to do in order to get to where I'm at today, I had to read a lot, I had to learn a lot, I had to, just find other ways to deal with it, and I guess my point here is a big part of the journey in reducing your weed intake or letting it go completely is becoming more emotionally independent and learning how to do that. And I don't think that's something that's really taught. And so if I could give some practical strategies that I use that have helped me, number one, it is in your best interest to educate yourself on how emotions work for human beings and how thoughts work for human beings. And some resources that you can look into are The Power of Habit, which is a book by Charles Duhigg, or The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. especially The Power of Now of Eckhart Tolle. And so another tip is, meditation. I don't meditate every day, right? But basically what meditation is the practice of not being attached to the feelings in your body and the thoughts in your mind. Because what happens a lot of time is these feelings, they're in our body and they overtake us, and they consume us. And these thoughts, they can be so negative that they really eat away at you. And the practice of meditation is just sitting there, and you don't even have to close your eyes. It doesn't have to be this whole Om situation, but it's like the practice and the discipline of recognizing a thought as a thought, and that like every thought is just a thought by fundamentally. And so whether it's, oh, today's great, or oh, today sucks, those are both thoughts, and they both pass rather. Okay, so another strategy, definitely got to find some people in your life that you can share with openly, that you can feel safe with emotionally. People that know how to listen. People that know how to give you space to be in whatever place you're at. Whether you're depressed, something I learned about myself is when I'm really struggling and I'm depressed, I just need someone to hear me out and listen without giving any advice, and let me just experience these feelings of depression and just acknowledge that. Just acknowledge how sad I am. Acknowledge how horrible my life has been. And just to really sit in that and really let those feelings come out, and not to try and fix them and not to try and judge them, but just like really just pour it out, like, man, I've been sad, And so it takes time. It takes time to build up and learn, ways to transmute, negative emotions. You get to learn yourself, though, instead of just being like, oh, I'm just going to smoke weed for everything, and that's it. If that works for you, that works for you. But if you're someone who wants to make a shift, if you want to grow an emotion, and I'm not saying that there are people who smoke weed all the time that are emotionally independent. I'm sure that exists. All right, but there is something, I don't want to say respectable, right? But the easy way out is to just smoke weed and not learn how to actually deal with your own emotions and grow. Would you rather have a fish or a fishing pole? Smoking weed all the time is the fish. But actually learning and practicing the tools that can actually help you deal with emotions without needing weed. You know how powerful it is not needing weed? Okay, but it's something you earn, and it's something you got to figure out. All right? But in the long run, it's a worthy investment to take the training wheels off and to find a way to learn how to ride. All right? Anyways, I hope this video finds you well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.